Hi, today we're going to be talking about writing formulae, ionic formulae using ions. The first thing that I've been asked is to just explain why some ions are positive and some ions are negative. And the reason for that is because sometimes atoms lose electrons and other atoms gain electrons. So positive ions, spelling. So positive ions are atoms that have lost electrons. So atoms are neutral. They have the same number of electrons as they do protons. So they have zero charge. But when atoms react, they sometimes lose that outer shell electron that we looked at when we did electronic structure. So for example, if we take something nice and simple, if we take the lithium atom, so lithium has 3 electrons, 2 in the first shell, 1 in the outer shell. Now when lithium reacts with chlorine, chlorine has 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 in the next shell, and it has 7 in its outer shell. So when lithium reacts with chlorine, it forms lithium chloride. And what happens is the lithium loses this outer shell electron here. And it is transferred to the chlorine here. So if it fills that shell there, so now chlorine has a nice full outer shell, and lithium is just left with this inner shell here, which is full with 2 electrons. So what you end up with a lithium ion, which is lithium plus, because it's lost a negative charge, and you have Cl minus, you have the chloride ion because it's now got an extra negative charge. And to show that, what we can do is, so lithium, the lithium atom has, if I just put this here, lithium atom, it has 3 protons, which are positively charged, and it has 3 electrons, which are negatively charged. So the overall charge is 0. But when it loses that electron, it now still has 3 protons because the number of protons hasn't changed, but now it only has 2 electrons. So overall, if you did the maths, overall you have a +1 charge. On the other side here, the chlorine has 17 protons and 17 electrons, which are negative. So overall is 0. But when it gains that extra electron, it's still got 17 protons, but actually now it has 18 electrons. So overall it has an extra minus charge. And that's why some ions are positive and some are negative. So if they're positive, they've lost electrons. If they're negative, it means they have gained electrons. So negative ions, they're atoms, or groups of atoms, which I'll show you in a minute, which have gained electrons. So they've gained a negative charge. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you the formulae and the charges on some common ions, and these are ones you really need to learn. Now to start with, we have what are called monoatomic ions. Okay, mono meaning one, atomic meaning atom. So basically they're made up of one atom. And what I'd suggest you do is I would write these down in my book. I would normally in class give you a sheet for these, but obviously I can't do that right now, so I would write them down. So the common positive ions we have the hydrogen ion, which is H+. You do need to learn these. So please do go away and learn these. The group 1 metals, okay, they're in group 1. They all have 1 electron in their outer shell. They will lose 1 electron, so they form +1 ions. So you have lithium plus, Li+. You have sodium, Na+. And then we would do potassium. We don't tend to look at other ones. Okay, group 2 metals. Well, they have 2 electrons in their outer shell, so they will lose those 2 electrons when they bond. So again, these are the common ones you will need to know. So Mg2+, so they lose 2 electrons, they will form 2+ ions. Calcium 2+, Ca2+. And then the aluminium ion. Aluminium is in group 3, 3 electrons in the outer shell. It will form a 3+ ion. So you have Al3+. So again, these are common ones that you will use, so I would learn them. There's also the transition metals. Now, transition metals are a bit special. They can form different ions, but some of the common ones that I would suggest you learn is copper, so copper 2. Okay, so copper 2, and that is Cu2+, and iron 3. Fe3+. So iron 3, 3+, copper 2, 2+. Right, so they're the common monoatomic ions you need to learn, the positive ones. So the negative ones, so you've got the group 7 non-metals, the halogens or the halide ions. We call these the halide ions. I'll just write this here, halide. So you have the fluoride ion, F-. Okay, they have 7 electrons in the outer shell. They need to gain 1. You have the bromide ion, and you have the iodide ion. They're the ones which we tend to use. There's also the oxide ion as well. So that's when oxygen bonds. Oxygen's in group 6, so it needs to gain 2 electrons to get a full outer shell, so it will form a 2- ion. So there are monoatomic ions. We then have what we call polyatomic ions, and these are the key ones you need to make sure you learn as well. And these are the poly, meaning more than one, so they're made up of more than one atom, but joined together they've either got extra electrons or they've got less electrons. So we have the ammonium ion, which is NH4+. Okay, so it's a +1 ion because it's just a plus there. It's made up of nitrogen and hydrogen. And then you have the nitrate ion, which is a -1 ion, NO3-. And you have the sulfate ion, which is a 2+ ion, SO4 2-. So the key ones that I would suggest you write down, you go away and learn. And what I'm going to do in my next video, I'm going to show you how to put those together when you're working out the formulae of different salts. Okay, thanks.